So this is to Jeremiah 6:4-6:2. Every being has a natural connection to the Creator, the spirit that drives all of reality. That's where instincts come from. That's where the consciousness comes from. The consciousness in all things, even down to the not molecular, well, molecular, I guess it's everything. Down to the microscopic is what I meant to say. When I was healing myself and trying to find out what was going on with the kids, because I was involved in a lot of the, I don't even know what you want to call it, conspiracy theorist handlers. So, the ones that like pointing at Israel for all the child exploitation issues, even though they all exist within the brothel that exists within the United States and all of its allies. So Israel's not unique. No country is unique. We're all part of a giant brothel empire. But that's besides the point. During that time period, I was getting healthy from an illness I used to have. And while I was learning who the Israeli people were directly by interacting with them, I healed myself enough to where I started feeling God. And God brought me through my memories, my life, showed me his influence. Now I call him the Creator because that's who he is to me. And in my understanding of God, I don't really think of him as a him, but that's how everybody refers to him. So it doesn't really matter. Everybody's got a different name for God in the real world because everybody has different languages and everybody has different experiences with God through their own lives and through the world around them. So you'll end up with God showing up as different things. Now, that's not polytheism. That's just different people's different relationships with God. Now, the present day is the result of all those religions being taken over by slave masters. Basically taking up everybody, taking their religions like Rome did. And then pretending that they represented God because that was a language everybody understood. But they were lying. Just like everybody lies. Everybody who tries to make everybody Christian is a liar. Now, I'm a fan of Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm not a fanatic. I'm not actually a fan. But I like him because he's right most of the time. He's not actually trying to make anybody Christian. He's doing the same thing I'm doing, which is telling the truth as best as we know it. When you're connected to God and you know God's perspective, it's a lot easier to understand the truth and to see where everybody else is wrong. You can't prove me wrong because the things that we believe are the same things Jesus believed. Now, Rome had their dirty, stinky fingers all over the Bible, so it's full of a lot of suspicious stuff. So you really shouldn't worship the Bible. You should worship God. And God is within us. Our body is its temple. What you guys end up teaching is you end up teaching people that they're irredeemable. So when normally they would only stick their toes into corruption because they think there's no salvation except through your cult, they give up and dive right in. That's literally why things are as bad as they are and keep seeming to get worse. Because the good guys aren't good guys because they're just not. There are no good guys. There are no good guys in a world where everybody has their connection to God retardedly disconnected. And that's what it is. When you should be here, but you're here, you're retarded. Now, we call people with Down syndrome retarded, but they're not, because they're here and they're exactly where they're supposed to be. They're not trying to be more than they are. They're not being pushed down to become less than they are, unless they have abusive people around them. But that's anybody can be pushed down and made retarded when they are ruled over by abusive people, which is all of us. All of us are ruled over by abusive people. I would say I was lucky being reconnected, but everything's in God's hands. You know, everything's in God's hands. But we still have our perspective. We still have events that happen that follow cause and effect. That's God's world. That's how he created it. It's not magic. You don't have to cast special spells. You don't have to make special prayers. Although the silent prayer that Jesse Lee Peterson uses and the one he suggests, that's pretty much it. That's how you learn to control yourself and become closer to God, because you don't have a bunch of dumb thoughts getting in the way of understanding the truth, which is what everybody is stuck in. Everybody tries to interpret reality based on a bunch of schizophrenic thoughts that won't stop popping in their head, guiding them, because they think that's how thinking works. They think that's how intelligence works. They think that's how understanding works. People don't know what they're doing. That's why we're all easily enslaved by people, almost to the point where if they don't enslave us, we end up becoming monsters. But it's because we're disconnected. We're not supposed to be disconnected. That's the truth. That's the path to freedom. We need to heal ourselves. We need to let ourselves be healed. And part of that is the mind. It's not just the body. Like, my body was sick my whole life, but I already knew how to heal my mind. So I was a step ahead of most people, apparently. But I never knew that until I connected to the Creator. Now, once I found out that my life was dominated by people like you and a bunch of assholes that want to destroy me, I mean, not you specifically, but, I know who people are now. Once I realized the world that I was in and who was controlling me and why, I drank that connection away. Because I'm very sensitive and weak, and I didn't want to use the power I had to destroy other people's lives. That's not what I wanted to do. Now, I'm paying for it. Maybe everybody's paying for it, but I'm human, and that's just the way it is. So, say what you want, believe what you want, but willing something to be true doesn't make it true. Just because you don't like what someone else is saying doesn't mean you're right. It just means you don't like what they're saying, and that's it. Using the Bible, you better be a biblical scholar, because my profession gives me the ability to check other people's work, and it takes zero effort. I was raised in a Christian family. Technically, it was mostly Irish Catholic, but my mom was Christian, and she raised me Christian. I rejected it when I was 14, but I know what Christianity is, and I know I'm not ignorant of it. I'm not coming out of nowhere. I'm not coming out of nowhere, man. And don't call me Jack. I'm not Jack.